we're both really excited to share those experiences and tools with you. So before we dive into things, I'm just going to set the roadmap for what we're going to cover today. So first off, who are we? Who's FluidReview? Then we're going to cover some scholarship program pain points, followed by a University of Ottawa case study. Then we're going to go into a brief demo of FluidReview for scholarships, where Sean is going to show some really amazing features and functionality, and we're going to follow up with some next steps, and then we're going to pass it back over to Maggie for a Q&A session. So to start, a little bit about us. So FluidReview is a product of SurveyMonkey, and if you're not one of SurveyMonkey's over 20 million customers, then I'll just give you a little overview of who they are. They're a survey software company that helps organizations make better decisions. FluidReview specifically is a comprehensive and flexible scholarship management solution. We work with hundreds of institutions and foundations, and we work to improve their scholarship funds, service to students, and stewardship. A little bit about our story. We were founded in 2009. We had our first customer a year later, and a couple years after that, we had 500,000 applications collected. Almost a year ago, we were acquired by SurveyMonkey thanks to this exponential growth that we've undergone. And in the past couple months, we recently launched our FluidReview for scholarships portion of our software. So who do we work with? We work with academic institutions, community foundations, nonprofits, and for-profits. You can see a number of educational institutions on the slide here, but we also work with a lot of smaller foundations and medium-sized companies. So we've helped these education institutions collect and process over 1 million applications and distribute over $3 billion in scholarships, grants, and awards to date. So now let's get right into the content. Scholarship and financial aid, it's a challenging world out there for both administrators and for students. It's no secret that students depend on financial aid. And it's becoming more important than ever. So 85% of students rely on financial aid, and this has grown 10% since 2006. So grants and scholarships play a major role in helping to fund their education. But what do students really think about the process? Well, we recently did a survey back in December using SurveyMonkey audience with students from post-secondary institutions across America. And what we found out was that 81% of them had difficulty finding scholarships that they were eligible for. 73% found it difficult or somewhat difficult to apply for scholarships at their institutions. And 50% of students applying to scholarships abandoned the application process due to overly complex requirements and processes. So maybe some of these numbers sound familiar to what your programs might be experiencing. So what's really behind these challenges? Why are they giving these statistics? We decided to dive in a bit deeper. For students, they have difficulty finding the scholarships that they're eligible for. So if they can't find a scholarship to begin with, then they're already cut out of the races. Then for the ones that they can find, the process is full of redundancies, or it's just not being communicated properly. The criteria is confusing, and they might abandon the applications or submit an application that's not really completed to par. Then they're not able to track their submitted applications. So when they don't know whether or not they're going to get a grant or not, or a scholarship or not, this results in them calling administrators to try to find out what their status is and not being able to successfully manage their financial plans. The issue at the student level trickles down to issues at the administrative level. Disconnected systems mean that administrators have to go between these different systems, which results in a lot of redundancies and eats up a lot of their time. The effect of this is that the student experience is hurt as they sit around waiting to hear back about their application status, and this in turn affects the application volume. So how can we solve these challenges? Well, technology can help. When you have the right tools, you're able to implement the right efficient strategies. And then that will improve the utilization of scholarship funds, improve your service to students, and create tremendous efficiencies for staff. So what kind of technology is available? What's really out there, and what do you need to consider when evaluating different tools? Well, we have 5 tips here and 5 things that you should really consider when looking around. So one is the ability to dynamically match students to scholarships. So as we discussed, if they can't find a scholarship that they're eligible for, then they're not even going to begin. So by being able to dynamically show a student only the scholarships that they're eligible for, this will really help them to start to feel confident about the process and to start their applications. Then we want to allow students to apply and cross-apply to programs easily and efficiently. This can mean using common tasks and reducing redundancies across programs. Also look for the ability to automate common communications with maybe both applicants as well as reviewers. So reminders and confirmation notices. That way students will never feel left in the dark about the status of their application, about whether or not it went into a black hole or somebody actually received it. And we want to let students to easily track the status of their applications. This will prevent the unnecessary calls to administrators to find out where their application is, and also give students some more confidence in the process. And lastly, we want to make it students to accept awards online. The end-to-end process should be seamless and intuitive for students, including when they get their funds. So now I'm going to dive into a quick success story that we had with the University of Ottawa. So these results were shared in the email invitation that you received, so I'm just going to jump in. So looking at the University of Ottawa, they are the world's largest bilingual institution. They have 40,000 students, 1,800 institutional scholarships, and distribute over $6 million in funds every year. They were experiencing some pretty big challenges to their scholarship program. They had a disconnected system when coupled with multiple scholarship types and multiple schools and faculty, resulted in a very poor student experience. Their paper process just slowed down everything, which resulted in a lack of application volume and, again, that poor student experience. Their goals are probably similar to a lot of institution goals, which would be to improve their application experience for students, reduce the administrative workload, and centralize their procedures. The solution was FluidReview, a centralized online application management system. So we brought in an intuitive online experience for students, dynamic scholarship matching, the ability for them to finally track their status online, powerful dashboards and reports for administrators to be able to see what kind of applications are coming down the pipeline and prepare, and an online award allocation and renewal management system to make it really efficient to distribute funds and to also manage the budget, as well as an automated donor recognition so that those donors are receiving the type of feedback from students and thank you letters that they deserve. And the result was a 221% increase in completed applications, 300% increase in the number of students who applied. And before, 85,000 documents were being processed manually by the administrators. After FluidReview, it was 20. So this was roughly 3 months of administrator time was spent manually processing. Imagine what they could do with those 3 months afterwards. They could focus it on growing their program, promoting scholarships to students, and building donor affinity. So now we're going to take a look under the hood. What exactly is dynamic eligibility matching and those other technology tools that I spoke about? Sean's going to show you all those in detail. We're actually, it's going to be more of a brief overview because we could get really in detail here.
There's a lot,
but we're going to just graze the surface and show you the highlights of these tools and functionality so you can see just how easy it is to get the results like Ottawa U received.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. So before I jump in, I just want to outline the structure of what I'm going to present to you. So we're going to cover, first off, the applicant interface. So we'll be able to show you what the students experience when they're actually trying to apply to scholarships through FluidReview. And then I'll take you into the reviewer interface so we can show you how your selection committees will be able to evaluate the submissions that were created by the students. And then, as Shannon mentioned, we'll scratch the surface once again on the administrative interface to show you how you can actually successfully and easily manage all of the awards at your institution. So let me just get set up real quick. And here we are. So the first thing you've probably noticed is that Tom Cruise is going to be our applicant for today. If any of you were in attendance last year at the NSPA conference, I actually gave a similar presentation, and Tom Cruise is still the same trustworthy applicant that we're going to walk through this process with. What we've actually noticed is that many students who are applying enjoy customizing their profile, so we have the option to have this picture here, or the ability to upload a picture. And also you may notice that the branding of the site is tailored to that of the University of Ottawa. So we can, of course, white label the site so that it appears to the student that they haven't left your website in the first place, should you ever jump on board with FluidReview. Now, one of our main goals that we've tried to achieve is to keep things as simple and straightforward when improving the student experience, because we find it has a very profound trickle-up effect. The more simple the process is for the student and the more improved the process is for the student, everything else seems to fall in line in terms of the other processes that follow, such as evaluating applications and dispersing all the money. So in this student applicant interface, we see right at the top one line of instruction that says you must complete your tasks below before you can apply to any scholarships. So you can see here there's a profile task with the status of incomplete, and I can go ahead and start this task. Now, the reason why this task is present is because ideally FluidReview would integrate with the existing student information system that your institution already has in place. Oftentimes we have a plethora of information available to us, but institutions still need to ask the students a couple of questions. So should there be any sort of extra questions that you'd want to ask, you can of course stick them in this sort of profile task that we have available for the students, and you can get them to complete it. So I'm just going to scroll through quickly and complete this task just to put on display the powerful form builder that we actually have within the software as well, just to show you that whenever you're creating any sort of form tasks for the applicants to complete, you can really tailor it to whatever your needs are. For example, do you play sports? Tom Cruise can answer no to begin with, but if he answers yes, we have branching logic that showcases additional questions based on answers to previous questions. So we'll continue just to answer. And of course, we have a great number of types of questions you can get the students to complete, such as, signature questions. Please excuse the atrocious signature I just put forth. And we'll go ahead and we'll submit this task. So upon submitting, we'll get brought back to our applicant homepage. The status will be complete, and you can see that I can now apply to scholarships. I can view the scholarships that are available to me. Something extremely important to note is that from the survey Shannon highlighted, 81% of students found it difficult just identifying the scholarships that they're eligible for. This problem no longer exists because of FluidReview. What we do is we take the answers provided in this profile, as well as all the information we already have on file for the student from the integrations that we have, and we dynamically match them against all of the eligibility criteria of the awards that you have in this site. So at the click of a button, you will see the awards that you're eligible for. Easy as that. So now no longer are there all these difficulties trying to sift through and search for awards that I might receive. Clicking the button calculates everything dynamically and shows you right at the top, you're eligible for the following 3 scholarships. Now, before I proceed to explain the items in this particular screen, I want to show you just how powerful FluidReview is and how efficient the dynamic matching is. So I'm going to jump out of this applicant interface, and I'm going to travel to the administrative side of things, and I'm actually going to change the GPA for Tom Cruise from 2 to 4. I'm going to refresh my page, and you'll see that I have 3 scholarships present now. Now Tom Cruise is eligible for 6 awards. That is how fast and how efficient we can calculate the eligibility for your students. And now let's just imagine that Tom Cruise is in fact extremely keen and he matches a lot of eligibility criteria. Excellent grades, the right number of credits completed, so on and so forth. And let's imagine he has 100 scholarships that he might be eligible for. You can see a few key items in this table, such as the title of the scholarship, the descriptions of the scholarship to give Tom Cruise a better idea as to what the award is about, the open and close dates of those scholarships, so you know exactly when you need to apply, and also the apply button. But what happens if Tom Cruise is eligible for, 100 awards, and he sees a lot of these that are no longer available because they exist outside of the application period? We've gone so far as to actually add additional filters so that Tom Cruise can do things such as search for the scholarships that are available now. So we can really isolate the award opportunities that require his attention. So you can go through and briefly read what the awards are about, and you can apply directly to those scholarships. But since Tom Cruise is eligible for all 4 of these, he can pick and choose which ones he wants to create applications to, and you can see down at the bottom we have a counter that I have 4 applications selected, and I can then add them to my list. Upon doing so, you can actually go in and identify and complete the corresponding tasks for each scholarship, or you can actually just go back to your list and take a look at everything you've done so far. So here we are back at the home page, and now at the bottom you can see that I have my list of applications. So what Shannon highlighted is that 73% of students found it difficult to actually apply to the scholarships. Once again, that is no longer a problem with FluidReview. All the students are able to do is select those scholarships they're eligible for, and they can create the associated applications. What's more is that 50% of those students abandon the applications because it's difficult to actually get things done for those applications. You can see right here, the basketball scholarship has a deadline of December 31st with the status of incomplete because it's pending submission. All I need to do as a student is view or edit the application tasks, and then I'll be able to submit my application. So you can see here I've just attached, a dummy resume task, as we've identified that, the resume is a common item that many institutions want students to have uploaded or created. And you can see that because this task is incomplete, I can't actually submit my application. That's because my prerequisites are not met. So this is very powerful in that no longer will your reviewers or administrators have to waste the time going through incomplete applications. You're actually able to force the students to complete specific workflow items within each scholarship application prior to submittal. So you know that 1, everything is complete when it's been submitted, and 2, we're able to automate everything so that the application moves to the proper committee. So Shannon mentioned, specifically regarding the University of Ottawa, they spent 3 months photocopying, scanning, sending paper applications to the different departments at the institution, as well as sifting through incomplete applications. No longer is this the case with FluidReview. So let's go ahead and just complete this resume task. And once again, I have a question here, a dummy sort of question, just to display the types of questions you can construct for your applicants. I'll go ahead and I'll submit this task.
Now, Tom Cruise's real employment history would have, referenced Mission Impossible and all those good
Minority Report, yeah. In the interest of time, yeah, we'll just enter some dummy data. So, and you can see here similarly that because this task is complete, I can now submit my application. Let's go ahead and do that. I then get presented with an "Are you sure?" message. Yes, I am. Let's proceed and head back. Now what we've done is we've actually indicated to the student that the status of this application is complete. We've in fact locked the application and automated the process, so now that the application has been submitted, it's been locked and moved on to a stage of further review, and the student is now aware of just that. No longer are they kept in the dark as to where their application may reside. Furthermore, we also send the student a confirmation email saying, we have received application ending in 7108 to the Basketball Scholarship for Athletic Excellence. Good luck. All the students need to do is essentially rinse and repeat. Let's do that one more time and complete the other tasks necessary for the Leadership Scholarship. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to showcase a few items for you as well. You can see that my resume task is already complete. Shannon mentioned that there are tasks that can be she alluded to the fact that tasks can be shared across multiple scholarships. That's certainly what we discovered with the University of Ottawa.
Removing redundant tasks.
Exactly, exactly. And because, items such as the resume are in fact common tasks, many scholarships or donors of scholarships want the resume or certain documents to be uploaded. There's no sense in having to get the students to complete this task time and time again for every single scholarship application. So what we do is we can actually attach this task to the various scholarships as required. So then when the student, Tom Cruise, enters this application for the Leadership Scholarship, because I've already completed the resume, it's already complete here. So I don't have to bother completing it once again. But you can see that I have an additional task that I need to complete before I can actually submit my application. This is just meant to show that you can actually customize the different tasks and requirements necessary as you're applying to different scholarships. Let's go ahead and submit. Yes, I'm sure. Let's continue. And let's head back. And folks, that is it. That is all students need to do. So I don't know how long that took, probably about 10 minutes. Tom Cruise entered the site, completed his profile, applied to, created applications for 4 scholarships, and completed the process and submitted 2 of those. It's that simple. That's how we were able to increase the overall application volume, and not just the application volume, but the complete application volume.
Your quality of the application.
Exactly. As the administrators and as the reviewers, you know that in order to actually submit these applications, everything is complete. Now, one last item I want to showcase for you is the fact that we've added additional filters within this particular applications table. So once again, we'll imagine that Tom Cruise is a genius. He is, eligible for many awards. Let's say he's got a list of 50 scholarships. He can actually filter for those that are incomplete or awarded or rejected so that he knows exactly what he needs to complete. He knows December 31st, this award is going to be due, so he can complete it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the students certainly like it, that's for sure. So from here, what I'll do is I'll take you out of the applicant interface, and I will take you into the reviewer interface to show you how we can evaluate some of the applications that Tom Cruise just submitted. So give me a moment as I navigate through the administrative portal of the site.
What I thought was really great about what you just showed was that you didn't show Tom Cruise having to fill out basic information about GPA and all that information that really the institution or organization just already knows about Tom Cruise. So that task is completely removed.
Yeah.
And so that part of that efficiency, the student doesn't even know that that was ever a requirement, but in the administrative end, we make sure that that was met.
Exactly, and the student wouldn't actually see any of the scholarships for those that they wouldn't meet the eligibility criteria for. So if the GPA was too low, as it was when we first went through, they didn't see the scholarships that we applied to. Exactly. So here we have it. This is the reviewer interface. Once again, we'd like to keep things simple and straightforward for our users. So as a reviewer, when I log into the interface, I see my scholarships to review and a list of the scholarships that I can then click into. Of course, if I'm a reviewer who's part of many teams, I can search for the specific award I need to evaluate. But let's just go ahead and jump into the basketball scholarship. Within this interface, we have a few pieces of information. Of course, at the top, we have the title of the scholarship, so there is no question as to what you're evaluating. And we actually have the ability to pipe in some specific bits of information. So, for example, what I've configured this site to pipe in is the amount available for distribution. So any sort of budget that you want your review committee to be aware of, you can actually insert those values here and tailor this particular section for them, provide additional instructions, what have you. And I've also indicated, the value of the scholarship that is to be awarded and how many should go out. So please bear in mind, you can do whatever you want, so to speak, inside this particular section so that you can convey the necessary information to your review committee.
Because when a review process is seamless and they have a clear understanding of what they're doing, there'll be less chances for errors, and there'll be a greater chance that this application will be reviewed faster, the student can find out the results sooner, and the entire application process has been greatly reduced into, distilled almost to just like a couple of weeks.
Oh, precisely. That's exactly correct. And one thing that our administrators really love is that there are less phone calls to them from the applicant side as well as the review side, because everything is so straightforward. And as the reviewers scroll down, they see the list of items that, or the list of applications that they need to review. So there are a number of items that I want to show you and walk you through here. We have, of course, little folders that the reviewers can expand to see the different items that were completed by Tom Cruise, or in this case it's student number 7. And they can go ahead and also complete the ranking forms and the final decisions as necessary. But what we've discovered a long time ago with our core product is that reviewers don't like toggling back and forth between screens when evaluating applicant materials and filling out evaluation forms. So what we've done is we've eliminated the need for that. We have what we call the side-by-side view. In this view, you see on the left-hand side the applicant's materials, so the actual forms that were completed by Tom Cruise in this case. And you can, of course, toggle to the different items while you're actually completing your evaluations. So it's very nice, very efficient. I'll go ahead and I'll submit my evaluation for this particular application, and then I'll return to my summary. And then you just keep going. And you can see here that my rank has been provided so that I know exactly where I am in terms of all of the evaluations for the submissions in this particular, for this particular award. Now, something that's very powerful to note, once again, is how we automate the process, or how we can automate the process. As soon as Tom Cruise submitted his application, it moved directly into the stage of review, and it can notify the necessary parties of such things, so that no longer is there this 3-month delay in photocopying, scanning, sending paper documents. Everything happens very quickly, so we can expedite the process and ultimately get the money to the deserving student that much faster. So what we do beyond that is once the team members are ready to submit any sort of final decision, we have the ability to actually automate the process even further. So let's go ahead and award Tom Cruise $1,000. And let's just say we want to waitlist this item, or waitlist this submission, and reject this one. We're able to actually move some of these applications into different buckets. So the awarded application from Tom Cruise will move into a stage of further review and will undergo financial approval, whereas the rejected item will move into a rejected bucket, and we'll just be left with the waitlisted items. Let's go ahead and submit. And then we will see what remains. And that's it. Similarly to the student interface, the reviewers have few items that they need to complete, and everything is straightforward and simple. So I'll go ahead and I will take you into the administrative side of things and show you how you can actually manage all the awards, and I'll show you what happened with Tom Cruise's application. Give me a moment as I navigate back. Now, the table that we landed on is actually probably the most popular table within this scholarship solution. So this table has actually been designed specifically for this scholarship offering, in that we've eliminated a lot of pain points that were experienced by the administrators of the site. So please, once again, to reiterate, understand that we're in the administrative interface. This is what the administrators would see when managing all the users and the applications and the scholarships within your site. So in this Manage Scholarships table, we have the grand list of award opportunities in your site. And of course, we have a couple key pieces of information. We can see if a scholarship is open and accepting applications within its open period and deadline. We see, of course, the title of the scholarship. We have the ability to actually categorize scholarships. So the nice part about doing that is you can actually indicate if something is part of a specific faculty or college. You can indicate whether or not it's under a sort of financial aid umbrella. And you can actually use these categories to only show specific awards to different departments. So if you want to give specific control to, let's say, the College of Business at your institution, you can go ahead and indicate that in the configuration so that the members of that college only see those awards. So once again, keeping things as straightforward and simple as possible. Moving on, we can actually have specific balances in these particular scholarships so that the selection committees and the administrators are all aware of how much money is available to distribute within this particular award. And you can also see something very, very neat. So we can identify very easily the number of applications that were created to this particular award, as well as those that were submitted. So one of the main pain points that we've identified is that money often didn't get distributed to students from awards for a number of reasons. One, students had a lot of trouble applying or didn't finish their applications. Two, the administrators had no idea that the scholarship itself was receiving 0 applications. And 3, there was nothing to actually take effective action until now. FluidReview shows you what's coming down the pipe and where everything resides. So you can actually proactively identify which awards have 0 applications or a low volume of applications and take action as necessary. On the right-hand side, we have a couple of key items that, or key icons that I want to take you through. First off, I'm going to take you through the management aspects of the actual award. How do you set up and establish things like the deadline, eligibility criteria, and so on? It's actually, in fact, through this Manage icon, and here we go. So on this first tab, you get brought to the area of the site where you can actually indicate the name of the scholarship, the short and long descriptions, a logo if so desired. So if you really want to, you can actually add a picture of your donor. Some appreciate that from what we've seen. In the limitation section, you can actually very easily establish the open and close dates. Now, something that our administrators really love is the fact that we actually have the recurring option. So we determined that it didn't make much sense if you, as an administrator, had a scholarship that was to begin on January 1st every year and close on March 31st every year. There was no sense in actually having to go in and open and close it repeatedly, year after year after year, across multiple awards. Now all you have to do is indicate that it's recurring, and then FluidReview knows that on January 1st of every single year to open the scholarship, and then on in this case, December 31st, you can close that scholarship. And it actually takes all that tediousness away from your management process. Further, we have eligibility criteria. So this is a very, very powerful part of the software in that we allow the administrators to establish specific bits of eligibility criteria necessary for students to actually apply to the scholarships. So you can see here, this particular award, the basketball scholarship that Tom Cruise applied to, had a GPA that required a GPA that is greater than 3.0. If you can recall, at the beginning of the demonstration, Tom Cruise couldn't see this scholarship until I changed his GPA to 4. So that is exactly where the power of FluidReview comes from regarding the eligibility. And you can actually get very, very specific regarding additional eligibility, different eligibility criteria. You can indicate specific cities, countries, the number of credits completed, and you can even go so far as to nest additional options. So I'm sure you can imagine we've seen a great, rather gross amount of complexity regarding the eligibility criteria. We all know that the donors can get very specific with the money that they want to give out, so you actually have the power to establish that within FluidReview. Now, something that's very, very cool in my opinion, if your donors are very specific, or if you as an administrator might even get the hunch that the eligibility criteria is far too strict, we have the Who is Eligible tab, where in here, FluidReview dynamically calculates and spits out the students who are presently in your system and shows you who is actually eligible for the award according to the eligibility criteria. So then you as the administrator now have the power to say, okay, you have all this eligibility criteria and it's far too strict. We have 0 people who are eligible for it. So what you're able to do is you can loosen up the eligibility criteria, or if you have just a small set of applicants that are eligible, you can actually select them and send an email. Hey, student 1, 2, 3, etc. And of course we have mail merge capability, so you don't have to type in the names. But you would send an email saying, hey, we notice you're eligible, please apply. Or you can even go one step further and forcefully apply them and send an email saying, hey, we created this for you, go ahead and submit the necessary materials. So it's very powerful in ensuring that you have the necessary amount of applications to actually give away some money.
So back when we were looking at that scholarship management table, if you see that 0 applications have been started, this is a great resource to then go to so that you can proactively make sure that you're going to get some high-quality applications.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, believe me, donors are quite happy that their money is going, or their monies are going out now, so that's good. Now, that's just scratching the surface of the management icon. What I want to take you through lastly is actually show you how you can distribute the money. So I'll enter the little $ icon to enter the scholarship distribution portion. And here's where we will be able to identify Tom Cruise's application. So this is probably one of the most powerful tables in FluidReview in that you can do a great number of things within this portion. So here, right from this table, you can see that you have all the applications to the Basketball Scholarship for Athletic Excellence. You can see all of the people who created the application, submitted the application, where they reside, and you're able to actually create transactions for these particular submissions right from here. But since we have the ability to automate the workflow, you can recall that the team, the reviewer, submitted a final decision of awarded for Tom Cruise's application, and we decided to award him $1,000. So what's typically done is we send an email to the person in charge of this particular scholarship indicating, hello, scholarship manager, the team leader so-and-so has completed their evaluation for the submission. Please check your transactions tab. Within here, we will see that we have a unique transaction ID for Tom Cruise's application that was created by this particular reviewer of an allocated amount of $1,000. So what you're able to do is very easily get an idea of what was suggested by your review committee, and you're able to adjust things as necessary. So just simply by clicking on the transaction, you can see how much has been allocated, but we also display how much money is available within the balance. Now, of course, you can configure your site in different ways. Some institutions never want to go past 0. Other institutions want to be able to go into negative numbers because fiscal years are rolling over, things of that sort. So you're able to actually adjust the allocated amount accordingly with having the scholarship balance as a frame of reference. And what's more is within this transaction, you can actually break down the amount of money to be allocated into different installments, because we often know that students are supposed to receive money in different semesters. So what you're able to do is see how much money is available to distribute, and you can begin breaking everything down. $500, we can choose exactly when we want the money to go out. We can approve it. Oh, you know what? Let's actually break it down into 2. So the first semester will receive $300. Let's go ahead and add an additional amount of money, $300. We'll make it go out in a future month, and we'll go ahead and approve it. And then you'll be able to go to a summary page. In fact, I entered the incorrect numbers on purpose to show you you can't actually over-distribute from what you have allocated. So you'll be able to adjust the amounts of money. You will see that everything now aligns, and you're able to continue to the summary. So here you'll see that student 7, or in this case, Tom Cruise, has been allocated $500 in 2 installments that have both been approved. And you can add specific bits of information to this particular portion of the site because we are very aware that there are potential integrations that can take place. So ideally, we like to actually integrate with whatever financial management system you have so that you can kind of make this as seamless as possible. Because upon clicking Save, we actually are able to send the signals to whichever system you have and actually further automate the workflow. In that, once you check the installment section, you can see that the installments have a status of approved, and we're able to move the application into an awarded stage and then present the student with the necessary acceptance tasks. Do you need to accept this with written confirmation? Do you need to actually provide a thank you letter to the donors? So on and so forth. And we've also seen through our work with educational institutions a very significant increase in the thank you letters that are sent out. Before they were all optional, but in the way that we configure the site, we communicate to the student that it would be exceptionally wise of them to submit, and you actually get really fulfilling letters in return. So it's a good thing. And that, folks, is my portion of the demonstration. That's just scratching the surface of what the FluidReview Scholarship Solution can offer.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Do you want to jump back into the presentation there?
Sure.
All right. So if you've liked what you've seen so far and want to learn a bit more, please contact me at shannon@fluidreview.com, and we can set up a free trial for you or a personalized demonstration to see more about how this can work with your organization or institution. So that was the demo that Sean just gave, was looking more like a university institution, but again, we work with a number of different organizations, and our tool is incredibly adaptable to work no matter what your workflow is. And if you contact us within the next week, then we can provide you with an NSPA preferred pricing. So when you do decide to move forward, if you do within the next year or 2 years, we can set you up with a good deal. So that's all for our side of the presentation, and we're all set for some questions, Maggie, if we have some that have come in. If not, now would be a great time for you to start typing in those questions. Hi.
Hi, this is Maggie. I do not see any questions at this time, so we can hold on for a minute or two to give you a chance to ask questions if you have any. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're coming in loud and clear for us.
Great. And you can submit those questions on the bottom of your control panel. You'll see a questions tab. You click on the little plus sign, and you can submit your question that way. And I do see one question coming in from Tammy. It says, can you give us an approximate cost of the program?
That's actually something we don't really get into in terms of like the specific details. That's even outside my realm of expertise.
I think we can give a rough estimation. It definitely depends on the size of your organization. I mean, if you're an institution like University of Ottawa, that's going to be a special case. But our starting prices are from between $7,000 to $12,000.
Okay, thank you. There's another question here from Stephanie. Have you interfaced with PeopleSoft?
Yeah, we do have that capability, yes.
Great. Another question came in from Robin. Can materials be uploaded by the applicant?
Yes, 100%. So we have a vast number of tasks that the applicants can complete. What you saw in the demonstration is that you just have I just showcased the ability to complete form tasks, but users can actually upload images or documents just the same. We do handle, a great number of transcripts, so on and so forth, images, whatever the case may be, and we even one of the more popular tasks is the recommendation requests. So often we've identified that institutions require confidential letters of recommendation. So we actually have the ability for the student to recommend a sort of referee or a recommender, and that recommender can then confidentially submit their letters of recommendation. So yeah, we have a number of different tasks, and uploading documents and files is a possibility, definitely.
Sounds great. Another question from Tammy. Does FluidReview work with Razor's Edge software?
We have that ability as well. I mean, there are a number of different systems out there, and really it's just a matter of going through the discovery process whenever we jump on board together to identify the specific benchmarks that we need to hit and the different integrations that need to take place in order to make this, no pun intended, as fluid as possible.
Great. Here's a question from Jacqueline. Can you put in requirements for FAFSA information? For example, can you set it up to where a student cannot submit the application until he or she submits the FAFSA?
Yeah, so there are a number of different things that we can do. And I apologize in advance if my questions seem very fluffy, but FluidReview is in fact very flexible, and there are a number of different requirements that many different institutions must abide by. So we've yet to, I think, really encounter anything that we have been able to tackle. So if the FAFSA requirements are in fact there, we've done such things as we can call a specific portion of, or call a specific site to see if the FAFSA task or what have you is complete on your end, and if it is, we can allow the students to proceed with the application, or depending on how you need things done, you can in fact have tasks that reflect the FAFSA requirements and have the students complete that before they actually submit everything. So there really is a number of things we can do, and even more, you can factor the FAFSA requirements into sort of the integration with the student information that we have, so that you could maybe proactively already communicate with us if the FAFSA requirements have already been met, and if they are, then they would be eligible to see the application.
Great, thank you for that. Another question from Stacy. Can you set up applications or award opportunities for opportunities, quote unquote, in addition to a scholarship amount?
In addition to a scholarship amount?
Let me see if I can give Stacy, I'm going to unmute Stacy and see if she can ask, follow up on that question.
Sure.
Hi, Stacy. Can you, oh yeah, great. We can hear you. So if you can go ahead and follow up on your question, that would be great.
I guess what I'm asking, sorry, I tried to quickly type it out, and we're a family foundation, and we have opportunities where we will take students on different events, but we may need them to apply for them, or even certain internship opportunities. So what we'd like is a program that, in addition to having a scholarship that they can get for education, they may need to apply for other opportunities or events within our organization.
Sure. So it depends how you want to approach it. We can, of course, house all those within one site, and you can actually manage sort of the opportunities as well as the scholarships within the one site if you deem it to be acceptable in that fashion. Within FluidReview, you have the ability to host a sort of award opportunity in the site, as well as you have the ability to indicate that an opportunity is external. So if there is a site that actually manages those opportunities already outside of FluidReview, you can direct them to that link so they can apply externally. Yeah, it really is up to whatever is sort of the best decision at the moment.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
I think so. I think just instead of having an award amount, that particular field might just be indicate that they are accepted for whatever the particular opportunity is.
Oh, yes, yeah. I see what you mean. I think you're referring to the reviewer interface. Those fields are actually configurable. This is just sort of the configuration that we have as a sort of standard offering within the scholarship solution. But as you go through FluidReview, much of the power that we have in terms of workflow automation and configuration, that we'd be able to achieve what you're looking for, without a doubt.
Sure.
Yeah, FluidReview is used by a lot of organizations for their hiring, for journal submissions and entries, for conferences to get calls for proposals, as well as memberships. So the end of an award doesn't always have to be the case. It can be, like you mentioned, internships or other opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Stacy, would you like to ask your second question about the GP Dynamics, or?
Sure. My second question was if you can link to, we have GP Dynamics for financial software, if that's something that you work with.
Personally, I've never heard of GP Dynamics. I'm certain that there wouldn't be any sort of issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we integrate with a number of, it's pretty much any, it sounds like any customer relationship management system you have or any financial institution that you're working with, that we just scope it out and we haven't had an issue to date.
Yeah, so I'm involved with integrations on PeopleSoft, Banner. We've even integrated with sort of homegrown solutions that are unique to an organization. Those aren't the most fun, but they're definitely doable.
Is there someone specifically that we could talk to just to find out, or you just have to like get further down the process in order to determine that?
A little bit of both. I don't think it would hurt if you sent an email away. If you email Shannon, I can work with her, and we can get you answers accordingly.
Okay, that sounds good.
Fantastic. Thanks, Stacy.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and mute you, Stacy.
Sure.
There's a question here from Patrick regarding pricing. He's wondering if it's $7,000 to $12,000 yearly, or is there another, or is there a different yearly fee?
That's yearly, and that's including everything from onboarding, support, and like if you need your applicant support, reviewer support, evenings and weekends, and that whole thing. There's no surprise pricing at the end of the year, which really helps our customers to be able to budget exactly for what they need. And again, this pricing is once you have a conversation with us and we can really find out the scope of your project, that's going to really determine like what is the pricing for you. So it'd be probably best to have a conversation so we know more about what your needs are.
Great. A question from Aaron. Are there options for post-award communication with award recipients?
Yes, and I think Sean, you touched on that just a bit when we were talking about the thank you letters to the donors. So you're able to follow up with your applicants 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years into the future and have that scheduled and automated, or you can send a reminder to yourself or to the applicant with additional tasks that they need to complete. So whether that's if you maybe want to follow up to find out what was the impact of the scholarship they received 6 months later or a year later, they can submit an essay, a video, or thank you letters like Sean mentioned. Did you want to add anything to that, Sean?
No, good.
A question here from Casey. Can an applicant's profile be captured for an application period? Or would that previous data be lost if the applicant updates their profile for a second application year?
Great question. So we can do a number of things. Basically, we keep track of the profile as it stands. But anytime a student creates an actual application to a scholarship, we essentially take a snapshot of the information that we have on file for them, as well as the profile itself, so that as the evaluations are taking place and as the administrator is looking at the actual application in its entirety, you get a snapshot of that applicant's information when the actual application was created.
Okay, thank you. A question here from Erica. Can you share about the feedback you've gotten from application reviewers on their experience?
Sure. So we get even still the occasional email that gets forwarded from the administrators that we work with saying that the reviewers enjoy how everything is so simple and straightforward. I really think we've achieved what we were looking to achieve in that there are very few questions regarding what has to happen whenever the reviews take place, because the administrators can in fact modify the interface to a certain degree to explain what should be happening to fit with the workflow that exists for your institution, as well as many portions of the feedback indicate that the system's kind of cool in that we're able to do the sort of side-by-side view and also spit out specific reports if need be. So we also have the ability to provide Excel spreadsheets of specific information or even evaluations and rankings that have already been completed by fellow team members so that you can share the team results. So the overall impression, I think, is that people are a little wowed as to how much FluidReview can do while being as simple as it is.
I actually have a story. I was talking with a customer, and she told me about how before FluidReview, there would be this one day where all the reviewers would come to their Toronto office and go through all the applications in this hot room, and it really wasn't a great review experience. And now with FluidReview, the reviewers can be literally anywhere in the world, access these application material at their fingertips, not have to worry about trying to print anything. They can print it if they want to, but all the application material is there. And for her personally, it really improved the review experience and just allowed her to continue to have those reviewers on hand who will want to be able to review applications, whereas some might not be able, wouldn't have been able to before.
Okay, thank you for addressing that. Stephanie has 3 questions. I'll probably just read them off one at a time. What is the expected setup time for each scholarship?
So it really depends. If you have just a handful of scholarships, you can set it up really quickly. But then you also have to factor in a number of other elements, such as the integrations that take place, whether or not there's going to be an integration with the student information system, with the financial management system, etc., as well as how do you want to sort of re-engineer some of the processes that you have, because you're transforming typically from a paper process or from a process that exists and is associated with a homegrown solution into FluidReview. There is some change management that has to take place. So the timeline is kind of up in the air, but like we've been able to launch 100 scholarships, full integrations within 3 months. We've done others 6 months. It really depends. Others, you can essentially launch in 1 day if the requirements are minimal. So
yeah, I think the best way to answer that question is just to send me an email and maybe outline a bit about what we would need to know to help give you an answer, a more specific answer, and Sean and I will look at it and send you an email back.
Yep.
Great. Then her next question is there a security component with regard to reviewers seeing the applications to review?
I'm not too sure what is meant by that, but in terms of like security, I mean, we meet all necessary security requirements. FluidReview deals with government clientele. Up in Canada, we have the Department of National Defense as one of our clients. And of course, the reviewers, whenever they sign into the specific portal, it is, depending on the requirements of your institution, it could be single sign-on, so they can sign on through a specific existing portal, or they would have a specific username and password for FluidReview. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Great, thank you. And then her last question is, are reviewers notified that they have reviews pending?
Yeah, they in fact can be. So it depends, once again, on how you want to establish your site. Within the administrative interface, administrators have the ability to see percentages and kind of track how far everybody is in terms of completing the tasks associated to the applications for a particular award. So from that interface, the administrator can send an email manually whenever they see fit, or you can even have reminder emails sent out. So yeah, however you really want to set it up, you can do so.
Okay, we actually have a handful of other questions, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time because it is just a couple of minutes after 1. Shannon and Sean, how would you like to handle this? Do you want to keep answering questions, or do you want me to email you the remaining questions and you can send replies to the folks?
Yeah, that would work great. Just send them my way, and I'll try to get to all of them by the end of today.
Okay, great. I will do that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I will go ahead and turn the screen over to me. Thank you so much, Shannon and Sean, for your very informative presentation. this concludes the NSPA webinar today. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest of the day. And Shannon will be in touch to answer any other remaining questions that are outstanding. Thanks again.